Yes.
Would you say something about what you mean when you say spirit mind?
Did you hear what she said? Okay, good. I say something about words in general first, you see. If we name a thing, for instance, if we say this is a house, that's a name for something that we can understand immediately, and we can do something with the house, you see. Or if we say parents, we know exactly what it is. And we can do something, you see. There's a relationship. So we can handle what is named by a certain word. And there are other words that are difficult. For instance, thinking. Still, we know the process of thinking, but what it is, we don't know. We have the experience of thinking, but we don't know what it is. We only see the results. And then there is a word, soul. Now, what is soul? Does anybody know what is soul? We experience soul, but we don't know what it is. Now, we can now deal with the word soul as if we know what it is. And in psychotherapy, sometimes, you see, they're afraid of the word soul, of course. Then they call it psyche. And it seems when they say psyche, they can handle it more than if they speak about soul, you see. But I have observed the function of soul. So soul we experience on several levels. For instance, we feel we have a soul. Now, what does soul do? Now, if you look at what happens in our body, the soul keeps together the different parts of the body are held together by one force, and that is soul. And that soul directs everything in the body, coordinates it. That's another function of soul. Still, we don't know what it is. But then soul reaches beyond our body. For instance, if we look for a partner, the soul is reaching beyond us, you see. Or if we look for something we need to eat, the soul knows what we need, you see. Animals know exactly what is appropriate for them. And they also have, of course, a soul in this way. But we don't know what it is. And the family also has a soul. It's kept together, the members of the family are kept together by a common force. They all participate in a common soul, a greater soul. You see? The soul keeps them together and it directs the family in a certain way. But we have the word, but we don't know what it is. Now, what about the word spirit or mind? Now, in many languages, there are different connotations to spirit or to mind, or in German to Geist. And I have to refer to the Greek word. Aristotle spoke of that spirit in his book of the soul, about the soul. And he calls that nous. Nous is intellect. Nous is something, a force that thinks. And nous thinks everything. Nothing can exist unless that mind or spirit has thought it. And it's moved because it's moved by the thinking of that spirit mind. Now in English, Susie Tucker, she translated that for me. She said, spirit mind, that is the best translation of the Greek nous, and she is right. And in German, the word Geist is not sufficient. And of course, in English, the word spirit is quite insufficient, of course. It doesn't meet what is going on there. Now, can we understand what is spirit mind? No, we cannot. If we use that word, we cannot use it as if it's a concept we can deal with. But we can allow ourselves to be moved by the spirit mind that we feel. So we get in connection with the spirit mind, not by knowing, but by allowing ourselves to be moved. And that's what we see here in the work. The representatives allow themselves to be moved by the spirit mind, but we don't know what it is. And therefore, I'm very careful with that word, you see. And the same would apply, of course, to the word God. You grasp it. And it can never meet the ultimate reality, never.
What about, you're saying that things move by thinking, and aren't there things that are alive that don't have thought?
You see, this is classical thinking, you see. All the anorganic, so-called anorganic things are moved. And they have an information, and they pass on information. So they're not far away from the movement of the spirit mind. They are spiritual. Okay? Your question answered?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good.